Alright, so we are working on the Subaru again, and today I'm going to try and replace the AC condenser out of this car. I had this car put together recently, and when I went to get it charged, they said they wouldn't hold a vacuum, and the reason why is because there's a big hole in the condenser, which I didn't really notice, but now I have to replace it. So I have one sitting in the trunk of the car now, so I'll go ahead and throw that on and show you how to do it. Hopefully, my biggest, not really a concern, but annoyance is I don't want to drain the coolant. So I'm going to see if I could pull the condenser out without having to drain the radiator. So hopefully, if I remove these, it'll give me enough room to bend this out of the way and get access to the condenser. First thing you're going to do here is remove this intake box. So these are just going to be held on by two push pins. So just grab whatever tool you use to pull those off and get them out. And just pull this out of the way. Next step would be to remove these radiator brackets. These are just going to be 12mm bolts. And before we even attempt to pull the condenser out, let's see if this will work and actually give me enough room for pulling the condenser in. Maybe it would. And it seems like this just is on a similar type of rubber mount as the radiator. I don't think this is really bolted onto anything except the AC lines. So I think that should be enough. With that said, what we're going to have to do next is disconnect the system. Now at this step, I just have to give a warning that if your AC system is charged, then please do not do this at home. You have to take it into a shop or whatever and get it properly evacuated. In this case, the car didn't come with an engine, didn't come with any accessories, so it was already empty. And so I know I don't have any refrigerant in the system. So I'm just going to undo the lines. But if you already have a charged or semi-charged AC system, then yeah, please get it evacuated properly. Alright, that's enough. So where the lines are is, there's a line right here. And these are going to be 10mm bolts. And there's one right there. So what I have right now is a kind of a small 10mm wrench, and the bolt I'm trying to get to is down there. So I moved the radiator out as much as I could. These bolts aren't going to be on that tight, so what I'm hoping I can do is get this in there, break it loose, and drive the rest of it out with my finger. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this or not, but maybe like this. Okay, that should be plenty of room. And the other bolt is down here. So I'm gonna try and hold this and get this off at the same time. I don't know if it'll be any good, but so now the lines are free. So remove the actual lines from the condenser itself. So just pull on them. Again, don't do this if you have any charge in your system. And here it is. This is also a pretty good time to replace your O-rings, while they're out. So this is green just because I serviced it recently. Usually if they're black, that means it's still on the factory O-ring, and if it's green, it means it's been serviced. So there's one here, there's one back here. And I think with that, the condenser is going to pop on over. Maybe. I don't know what else is holding it on. Oh, this thing. I guess that means this has to come out. No big deal. I'm just figuring this out as I'm going along also, so bear with me. So we're gonna use the push pin pliers again to remove these two to pop the grill out. And there's 4 little tabs here that I think you need to press in to pop out. So for that I'm gonna use just this and push on it while, and release. And 2 more bolts, which these look like 10s. Alright, and looks like these are what's actually holding the condenser in. So I think these bolts here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on screen, is what's gonna get the condenser out. Or I think anyway. Let's find out. And these bolts are looking kind of rusty, so when I put it back together, I'm going to just apply some anti-seize before reinstallation. Also, I think if you remove the grill first, it'll be much easier to get to this bolt right here, so I recommend doing that first. Now, is it gonna come now? Okay. So I'm removing the tabs off both sides of the condenser, just because it wasn't clearing with the radiator. If you had the radiator removed, then I think you'd be fine, but I'm trying to save some pennies on coolant, so that's what I just have to deal with. And there it is. And here is the new condenser in comparison. So the new one's gonna come with new mounts, which is good, but I think I'm going to have to take these off either way anyway to reinstall, which is not a problem. So I'm going to take these off, get the condenser in place on these tabs, put these mounts on it, and then reinstall everything back together. So. So I think what I'm going to do is drop it in a drier end first, like we did when we removed it, and then position it in place like that. Okay. Now I'm going to put these brackets back on. These brackets going after, I think they just go into these grommets. Wrong way. So this side, yeah. And these don't need to be very tight, so you can just snug them up and maybe give it another quarter turn, just like a spark plug, and that'll be good. Well, and don't forget to tighten these bolts also on the condenser. Now you're going to reconnect the AC lines, so just find the bolt that you were using before and thread that back in. Again, don't forget to replace the O-ring if you haven't. Again, I've just replaced mine when I was putting the car back together, so I'll be good on that end. So. And these don't cut just no. Alright, so with that, that's kind of where we are. So we have the lower bolt in place, and also this one. So this one, I ended up re-threading it, if you know what I mean, but it seems to be on pretty good, and it only really needs to be tightened once. I'm going to hope that it doesn't leak. What I'm gonna do is take it to a shop and get it vacuum tested again, and if it holds it, then I'll have them charge it. If it doesn't, then I'll have to pull it off and re-tap it or something, but I think it'll be fine. So with that, the rest of it is just going to be reassembly. So I'm going to put the radiator back on its rubber grommets, re-bolt the brackets, and reinstall the grill, and we will be done. seat. So the person I'm gonna add some support here. There's your don't pick all of this. Okay. No. Okay. And these bolts with these dowels, I think, are gonna be going here. See my. And you got 2 push pins here. And lastly, you have the intake box. Cool. And you are done.